So foggy. I'm just gonna share my screen so everyone can see the presentation. And I'm actually wondering, can you still see my face?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay. That's what I was wondering, because sometimes in the recording, I wasn't sure if it actually recorded the camera share or, but okay, cool. All right, so welcome everybody to part 4 of the Transformational Shift Workshop Series. Today I have with me Bryn DeVore. She's an identity and mindset coach, and she's going to be walking us through some really awesome mindset shifting techniques for working through limiting beliefs. And I'm so excited for that part because she has walked me through it for my own kind of stuff, and it's extraordinary. It's so powerful, and I think you guys are going to really get a lot out of it. But yeah, before we go too much further, I want to address the t-shirt on my head. And the reason that I'm wearing a t-shirt on my head is because sometimes life just happens, you know? And I think that, you know, this world has basically been created for white men. So our idea of professionalism and everything tied in with that is kind of tied to these limiting beliefs we have, right? About what it means to show up in the world as a woman and as even just like a human being, right? Because how many times do we actually give ourselves permission to be human and to like actually show up in the way that we need to in the world instead of in the way that we think that we need to? And I think that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today as well, is like, how are we showing up in the world and what kind of limiting beliefs are, you know, surrounding that and maybe keeping us from showing up in the world in the way that we really actually want to. So so let's just take a moment, and I actually don't have anything, you know, really planned for this arrival practice today because I just kind of wanted to get a sense of what everyone is feeling today and just kind of get a feel for the room. But my favorite is connecting with our breath. So I think we're just going to take a moment and connect in with our breath a little bit. Because later in the workshop, we're going to be working a lot on connecting with our body. And I think in this kind of work in creating more body awareness and connecting with our body, the first step is connecting with our breath. So let's just take a moment and close our eyes. And just start to take a few deep breaths. And just notice the rise and the fall of your chest and your stomach. Not trying to change anything here. Just noticing the flow of your breath. And start to notice the depth of the breath. Does it feel shallow or restricted? Or does it feel open and deep? And neither one is right or wrong. It's really just tuning into what's happening in your body and starting to understand the information that it's sending you. And now let's slowly start to deepen the breath, bringing more air in and allowing it to funnel down into your stomach. Really allowing that diaphragm to expand and then contract on the exhale. Again, deepening the breath on the inhale. And then extending the exhale so you get all of that air out. Then again, deepening the inhale just to the edge of your comfort zone. And then when you're ready, letting all that air out and extending the exhale. Then when you're ready, just return to that deep inhale and deep exhale at your own pace. And then when you feel complete with this practice, feel free to add a little bit of movement, maybe a little bit of swaying, some neck rolls. Maybe wiggle your fingers or your toes a little bit. And just slowly come back to the present moment. And then, just take a moment and notice if your body feels any differently after taking those deep breaths. It's this noticing that is really important, this awareness. And then when you're ready, you can come back. And let's get started today. And I know Bryn is as well, so excited for this workshop. We have so much good stuff to share with you guys today. But I do want to do a quick recap on last week's workshop, just in case you didn't get a chance to attend it. So the purpose of the Transformational Shift Workshop Series is for every workshop to kind of build off of the previous one. They're all connected. So last week we talked about tuning into our intuition and listening to the body. So we talked a little bit about our authentic self and how we can connect with that authentic self, the self that is free of conditioning, which we'll get to in a little bit, to take aligned action. And that basically means any kind of action that is supporting our health, mentally, physically, emotionally, and really allowing ourselves to tune into that higher purpose that we may have. We talked about learning the language of the body, and this is really about approaching the awareness of our body without judgment. And just noticing what's happening, noticing the sensations, noticing where in our bodies we might be feeling something, and then just allowing ourselves to intuitively interpret what's happening. And the last one is, this was kind of like a main point that I feel we had for the last workshop. And it's that when we connect with our bodies and our intuition, we allow ourselves to open up to the possibilities that our body and our authentic self are asking for. So without further ado, today's workshop is all about working through limiting beliefs. We'll be talking about what is a limiting belief, kind of what causes it. We'll be talking about the reticular activating system. We'll be talking about conditioning and how that contributes to our limiting beliefs and how we show up in the world. Also, how nervous system regulation and mindset work amplify each other and really help integrate the work that you do in each sphere. Authentic self-expression and how important it is to feel safe in the world, in our bodies, in ourselves, to be able to express ourselves authentically, and limiting beliefs and conditioning play a huge, huge role in that. And we'll also be talking a little bit about the process of deconditioning. And that's where some of our techniques and practices will come in, and you guys will get a chance to, go through some guided practices that we'll share with you. And yeah, and just some food for thought as we go through this workshop. What would you be capable of if you stepped outside of the paradigms, perceptions, and beliefs that do not belong to you? And just give yourself a minute to notice how that might feel in your body right now. How would it feel to just be able to let go of all of that and step into you, into all that you are? And that's why I'm so excited for today, is because that is big. That's like so powerful. So I just want to take a moment before we get into any real definitions to consider what your personal definition of a limiting belief is. And for those of you who are watching the replay, feel free to, jot this down in your journal so that you have it somewhere. What is your personal definition of limiting beliefs? You can pause here if you need more time, but just for the sake of time, because we have so much to get to today, I'm gonna move on. So what are limiting beliefs? Limiting beliefs are beliefs or perspectives that cause us to perceive things in a certain way. And oftentimes, the way that we perceive things is holding us back. And I know Bryn has an awesome definition that she'll be sharing with you guys as well of limiting beliefs. And these are often based on our past experiences, our generational trauma, and conditioning. And they're usually not objectively true, right? They're usually half-truths or assumptions that we make. And this is really important to know, because as you're going through, deconstructing some of these limiting beliefs, or kind of trying to create a sense of safety within your system in order to show up in the world in the way that you want, you have to recognize that the beliefs that you have are not always objectively true, that they are perceptions or ways of perceiving things based on past experiences, based on what you have been told, what you've absorbed throughout your life. So conditioning can come from many different areas. It can come from family, friends, religion, culture, media. I think media is a huge one, especially nowadays with how much access we have to the internet, to visual kind of types of media. And mainstream media often, portrays things in a certain way. And when we as young people absorb that and kind of integrate that into our lives as a truth, it can affect how we perceive ourselves and perceive the world. And all of these sources of conditioning create this constructed self that we then move through the world as. And it's the self that we portray to others so that we feel safe in the world. Like in private, we might have a self that we allow to be seen. But when we are, out and about, this is the self that, is agreeable and that is aligned with all of this conditioning that we've taken on. It's aligned with the ideas of who and how we think we are supposed to be in the world. And then there's the authentic self that, is like deep within us that we sometimes allow to be seen in private or with people we feel really comfortable with or in spaces where we feel really safe. And through this process of kind of working through limiting beliefs, clearing them out, I feel like we're able to step more into our authentic self. And I think that the constructed self absolutely has a place in our world. And, we can talk about this maybe in a separate workshop because there's so much that we could talk about there. But, I think when we connect with our authentic self, that's where our true power lies, right? So bringing awareness to your current mindset is so important. And I will be sharing a workbook full of journal prompts that you can use to investigate your current belief system and mindset a little further. That's just kind of a free gift to all of you. It's usually only available to the people who do my intuitive healing experiences. But I think it's just such powerful work to do that I really want to share it with you guys. And it's really just questioning, like, what do you believe to be true about yourself, about the world, about relationships, about showing up in a certain way or following a certain career path? And ask yourself, what would it feel like to be free of some of these limiting beliefs? What would it feel like to be free of some of these ways in which you perceive the world? And hold on, I feel like I missed a slide. There it is. Wonderful. Okay. And so then we get into the process of deconditioning. So the number one thing that I like to talk about is nervous system regulation as a basis, as kind of a key stepping point for doing some of this mindset work. Because when we're doing this mindset work, it's important to be able to feel it in our bodies, like the changes that we're making. And we can't really do that. We can't create that felt sense of the new mindset that we're stepping into if we feel unsafe, or if we feel anxious or stressed or constantly in a state of reaction or fight or flight mode. So I always mention nervous system regulation as a really important key to this work, because when we create that sense of safety within our own bodies, we can then start to create that sense of safety around some of these limiting beliefs that we might be feeling. And yeah, I want to hand the mic over to Bryn to talk a little bit about the reticular activating system, because this is also super huge in this work. So I'll hand it over to you, Bryn.
Sweet. We're going to get a little bit sciencey. I think this world can feel a little bit woo and like intangible, and I honestly love it. My brother is in med school, and so he's always really challenged me with this stuff of like, okay, what's the science? Well, here's the science. We have a little village of neurons that live in our brainstem that form the reticular activating system. And basically what this does is it automates your behavior and keeps you sane. Because we have so much information coming at us literally all the time, if we did not have the reticular activating system, I'm just going to say RAS from now on, we would lose our minds. Like instead of me being able to look at this camera, look at Mia, look at my notes, like I would be looking at, oh, like look at this coffee, like, oh, listen to that sound it makes. There's a bird over there. Like it would be so incredibly overwhelming. So what the RAS does is it allows us to filter what's relevant to us. And I feel like the study is a good way to describe this. If you caught our live the other day, I explained this, but a really good study done on the RAS that really sums it up well was a study done on families with newborn babies who live next to an airport. And what happened in this study is that they noticed that throughout the night, the parents would sleep through any airplane that was taking off or landing next to their house, which is really loud. But the mom would wake up whenever she heard the baby cry in the next room. So she was able to completely ignore the airplanes taking off, but she woke up for the baby. She knew that information was relevant to her. Okay, so why didn't the dad wake up? That's a different story. That's another societal issue. But take mom away for a few days. She's exhausted. She goes to visit family. She goes on a little spa retreat. We wish her the best and a restful weekend. So now that mom's away, dad, after a day or two, starts to wake up when he hears the baby crying, but still ignores the airplane because, again, that information is now relevant to him. Without mom there to wake up for the baby, he's now waking up when he hears the baby cry. So that's a perfect example of the RAS filtering what's relevant and what's not. So when it comes to our beliefs, our beliefs that may not even be ours, I think relationships are a really good example of this because relationships are really hard. And I think we get a lot of women who are in relationships and they're saying the same things around like, why is this always happening to me? Like, why am I attracting men who are cheating on me, XYZ, all these horrible things? If you have a belief, no matter where it came from, it doesn't matter eventually once it's like in your system and it's a formed neural pathway. If you have a belief that you attract really shitty relationships, hope I can cuss on here. What is happening is that your RAS is starting to filter out information that proves that the opposite could be true for you. So your RAS is starting to filter evidence that could be like prove the opposite, and it's confirming and sending you more evidence that it's true. So as a result, you're attracting more relationships that prove your belief that you're always attracting men who end up hurting you, leaving you, cheating on you, whatever. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, evil cycle. So that is the importance of the RAS. Like if you're not aware of these beliefs and you aren't aware of this little bundle of neurons in your brainstem that are doing this, then you're going to keep attracting what you believe, even if what you believe does not serve you. So that is the power of the mind and the subconscious mind, a power that can be used for you, that you can leverage. If you can work on your beliefs, which is exactly what we're doing in this space, then your subconscious mind and this RAS is like a heat-seeking missile for everything you do want to attract in your life. And you don't even have to work hard for it, right? Because the RAS is doing this like undercover. Like you're not thinking about your RAS every day. Like you probably just learned what it is today, but it's always been up and operating in your life. So if you can hardwire beliefs that serve you, then all the time, 24/7, you are going to be attracting those good scenarios in your life. But without being aware of those beliefs, those limiting beliefs that could be harming you, holding you back, then you're gonna attract more of them, even if, okay, and this is something that blew my mind, even if the same opportunities were available to you when you had those beliefs that didn't serve you, like, oh, I always attract the worst men, even if there's the best guy right there, or the guy you have is the best guy, like, you are not seeing the positive because, again, the RAS is filtering what it thinks is relevant to you, what you want to know. It's like confirmation bias of your own mind. So you're just going to keep seeing what isn't serving you. You're going to hear the baby crying, but you're going to ignore the airplane, So that's the power of that. That's the power of like really doing a thought audit and seeing what thoughts are like flying around in your mind and switching them and shifting them so that they serve you even when you're not consciously thinking of it. Because we don't want to be doing this work all the time. Like we eventually want it to just work magically for us. And that's the goal. That's the RAS.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thank you for sharing all of that. I think it's really cool to be able to understand the science behind it too, because, when we talk about some of this woo-woo stuff, we're like, oh yeah, like I got the concept of it, but how is it really actually working in my body? Like how is it actually functioning? So I think it's really helpful to hear that side of it. And Bryn, do you have anything else to add around limiting beliefs or anything like that before we go any further?
I don't think I think you're doing a really good job covering it. The part about the authentic self and the constructed self. Oh, actually, I do have something to add because that part like blew my mind. And I I didn't think I had anything to say, but I do. I think, yeah, that really blew my mind the way you structured that and described it because I think a lot of times it's easy in this world in like the personal development realm to get tricked into thinking that personal development is stepping into like another person, And I think I've done that for so long. Like I was really introverted and I thought that like personal development was like becoming extroverted because that's what's valued in our society, right? That's a huge example of conditioning. I tried so hard to be that extroverted version of myself and really just got like super heavily depressed and like so burnt out. So I think with these limiting beliefs, it's not about like becoming somebody else. It's really like a shedding of what that conditioning and taking that all off so that you are like the whole congruent being you were born as. Like, it's not a process of like, I'm going to use a really stupid metaphor here, like putting on layers and layers and layers of nail polish. Like, it's taking it off and being like, yo, this was okay to begin with. Like, not a strong metaphor, but it is just about like, this is who I was before society conditioned me that said I needed to be XYZ before I could do XYZ things I want to do. So, yeah, I think that's the importance of this work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I think yeah, like you said, a lot of times we fall into this trap of thinking that we need to be something else or someone else. But healing is really about coming back home to yourself and, you know, and like really accepting that, accepting everything. Um, but yeah, and that
Stripping.
kind of,
It's about stripping. Just
yes,
kidding.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. In all the best ways. So that brings us into felt sense. And I know I've mentioned this a little bit earlier and also in past workshops, but we're going to talk about it again. So felt sense is, you know, it's like the experience of it, of whatever you're feeling or trying to feel within your body. And I think in this works, having a felt sense of safety is really important before we can jump off into the felt sense of expansion and abundance and limitlessness, right? Um, so in the practice in a little bit, that's kind of what we'll be doing. We'll be regulating our nervous system with some breath work, with some gentle movement. And then we're going to be getting into the part where we're really shifting our mindset and getting into that new felt sense that we're trying to achieve. We talked a little bit about authentic expression and creating safety around that authentic expression. Yeah, I don't have too much more to add to that. But I do want to talk a little bit about what this has to do with health and wellness, because that's what this workshop series is really all about, right? It's about helping us create a better lifestyle, or at the very least, beginning to be aware of all of the different aspects of our health and our wellness, and allowing that to, help us create better health and wellness in our lives and the lives of others maybe as well. So sometimes we do all the things but don't see results. And a lot of times when we're doing all of these external things but not doing the inner work, that's like the block that you're experiencing. That's what's tripping you up. It's not that you're not exercising enough or not eating the right foods sometimes. It may just be that you have some limiting beliefs around what it means to be healthy and what it means to be well and happy. Like beliefs of what is possible for your health and your wellness. Like a lot of times we have this belief that we have to be on medication. And I think medication definitely has an important role to play, right? But a lot of times we get stuck on that. We think, oh, medication is the only thing that is going to help me. And in the case of depression, a lot of times people say, you're going to have to be on medication for the rest of your life to keep this under control, or for anxiety, or for ADHD. And while I think medication is such an important tool, it doesn't really get to the core. It doesn't get to the root of what's actually happening around those issues, right? Or for example, another limiting belief you might have around your health or your happiness is it's not possible for me to break free of this or to have an experience that doesn't include this, right? And for my own self, personally, in my journey with mental health, I had depression from a very young age. It was all I ever really knew. So when I was going through the journey of stepping out of that, I felt like, I don't know if it's possible for me to live a life without this mental state, right? But it is possible for you. And that's why we're doing this. And then, some questions that you might want to ask yourself are, what does the healthiest, happiest version of myself look and feel like? And oftentimes, if we really allow ourselves to dream big here, we can kind of get to a place outside of our conditioning and outside of our beliefs. And once we do kind of have an idea or a picture of this version that we might want to step into, ask yourself, what do you believe to be true about this? Do you maybe believe? Oh, and I see Bryn waving. I don't know if you wanted to jump in and add anything.
I was just clapping for you.
Oh,
I'll add something, but continue your thought. I was just like, yeah, drop the mic, girl.
Thanks, Bryn. But yeah, it's like, what do you believe to be true about this version that you dream of? Like, do you believe that it's not possible for you? Do you believe that you have to work really, really hard to get there? Do you believe that you don't have the resources to get there? And sometimes we do have to work hard, right? And sometimes we do lack some resources. That's just the reality of the world that we live in. But I think oftentimes, if we actually, like Bryn was talking about earlier, if you filter through some of like the negative things and don't really broaden your sight or your vision to see what you do have available to you, we can often block ourselves from moving forward.
I definitely have something to add to that.
Yeah, go for it.
My 9 to 5, I do health coaching for a company, and I work with people day in and day out around losing weight and getting off medications for blood sugar, cholesterol, all the things. And You phrased it perfectly here. Like, people will do all the things and not see the results they want. Like, they will be eating so many leafy greens and they're getting in exercise for the first time and they're being consistent with all of these things. And 9 times out of 10, when they are not seeing results, and we've gone through all those different avenues of what could be going on, it's mindset. It is always mindset. It is because deep down, they have a belief that says, this isn't possible for me, or this isn't safe for me. And I think that's the really big thing, because when we've identified with something our whole life, there's a part that's really scary, and that's where nervous system regulation comes in. Of, you can't imagine life on the other side of whatever this thing is that you're struggling with. Like, it's an identity thing of, and then, when I ask my clients, like, what's on the other side of this that you're afraid of, is they just literally cannot imagine what life would be like if their weight wasn't a struggle for them anymore. So it becomes wrapped in identity. And that's, yeah, the nervous system regulation is so key to letting them feel safe in that new space, letting them feel safe in the version of themselves that's 30 pounds lighter or doesn't need to be on these medications. Like, it is mindset 110%. That's actually why I shifted into mindset work out of health coaching, because it's mindset, kids. Always, always, always.
Absolutely. And I think bringing awareness, mentally, not just the nervous system work, but like the mental process of bringing awareness to the limit, to that sense of unsafety and the limiting beliefs that you have that are holding you back from really feeling safe in that new context, in that new version. Like, that is key as well, which I think you're going to be doing a little bit of for us in a bit here too.
Yeah, and I totally just had this idea, side tangent. We should definitely do a workshop together on sabotage, because that's when it happens. When we reach that threshold of, we're almost there, like we're almost done, like with our weight loss goal, but then our nervous system no longer feels safe. Our identity no longer feels safe moving to that next level. That's when we sabotage to like get back down to that like threshold of safety and comfort. So this is good work, man. This is so important.
Absolutely. So everyone stay tuned for a bonus workshop about sabotage. It's going to be coming soon. Absolutely. So now let's get into a little bit of a practice. We've been kind of talking at you guys for a little bit, so we really want you to experience this for yourself, this shifting for yourself. So I'll give you a moment to find a comfortable position here. You can stay seated, you can lay down, you can stand up if that feels good to you. Just be aware there will be a little bit of gentle movement in this practice. So you can always shift positions later on if that is what feels right to you. So just give yourself a moment to settle in, maybe wiggling or adjusting a little to make sure you're able to relax all of your muscles in this position. And I am going to share some music here before we get into the practice. So if you can't hear me or have trouble hearing me while the music is playing, just throw it in the chat and I'll make some adjustments. Now bring your awareness to your breath. Just noticing the rise and fall. Just noticing that movement of in and out. Now let's deepen the breath. On the inhale, bring the air deep into your belly. And on the exhale, allow yourself to lengthen the breath just to the edge of your comfort, getting all of that air out before breathing in again. And then when you're ready, inhale deeply into your belly. And then breathe out, extending the exhale. And then inhale again, bringing that air deep into your belly. And then breathing all of that air out, extending the exhale just to the edge of your comfort. Now go ahead and on the inhale, bring that air deep into your belly again. Let's hold the breath here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And inhale. 'And hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then exhale all of that air out with a sigh. Now just return to a deep inhale and deep exhale at your own pace. Allowing yourself to sink deeper into this state of deep relaxation. Allowing this peace and relaxation to fill your entire body. Now bring to mind a goal, vision, or dream you might have for yourself. One that lights you up inside. One that brings you joy and awakens your deepest desires. Create that felt sense of it in your body. What would it feel like to have it? What would it feel like to experience it through all of your senses? Now notice if you feel any resistance to it, or if any negative thoughts or emotions pop up in your mind. Notice anything that makes you feel like that vision isn't possible for you. This may come from a limiting belief, a fear, an insecurity. And once you have a clear image or feeling of that limiting belief, let's just focus on one that feels the strongest, or one that, comes up the most. Notice how it feels in your body. Notice where it shows up, what kind of sensations you feel. Maybe how it feels in relation to the rest of your body. And just notice these sensations without judgment. There is no right or wrong or good or bad here. It's just information that we're receiving from the body. Now let's add a little movement. Maybe a little rocking back and forth. Maybe a little shaking. You're not really quite releasing it yet. You're just building up the energy inside of your body and noticing how that resistance or that limiting belief is moving through your body. And again, as you explore here, you're just noticing what's coming up in your body. If difficult emotions or sensations come up, just connect back with your breath and breathe through it. I now invite you to move to a seated or standing position. We're going to add some shaking here. And I'll do it with you so you don't feel too silly. So add some gentle shaking to your legs. Slowly move up your body. And then we're just going to shake everything. And And again, we're not releasing anything here. We're just building up the energy inside of your body. Keep that shaking. Keep it going. And as you build up that energy, you might notice a sound is forming in response to the limiting belief you've been carrying. Allow it to build up inside of you. And then we're going to let the sound out in 3, 2, 1, go. And we're going to release it again. Take a deep inhale in and release in 3, 2, 1, go. And feel free to release this sound again if that feels right to you. And now we're going to further explore some gentle movement. So you can slow down the shaking and just follow whatever feels good to you here. You can go ahead and sit, remain standing, or even lay down. And just listen to what your body needs here. Maybe adding in some stretching, some holding, rocking, or whatever you need. And now start to slow down. Come back to a seated or laying down position. Eyes closed. And ask your unconscious mind if it is ready to now release this limiting decision, this limiting belief, and to be consciously aware of it. If the answer is no, trust that and allow yourself to sit with the belief and continue to feel it. You can continue to experience it and breathe or move through it. If the answer is yes, ask your unconscious, what is the root cause of this limiting belief, which, when disconnected, will cause the belief to totally disappear? Whatever memory sticks out to you in your body, whether it was months ago, years ago, generations ago, or several past lives ago, just trust that. Go ahead and let your body get in touch with that event. And if the event isn't super clear in your mind, that's totally okay. You can just go with a general sense of the energy of it. Now ask your mind what it needs to learn from this event. The learnings of which will allow you to let go of that decision easily and effortlessly. Your unconscious mind can preserve these learnings so that if it needs them in the future, they will be there to protect you, to help you make good choices, and ultimately to serve you. You may get the learnings consciously, or you may just get an indication or a little inkling that you've gotten them. When you're ready, allow yourself to come back into the present only as quickly as you can stop at 3 events in your life where, had you never made that limiting decision, you would have had so much more opportunity. Stop and notice these 3 events and watch as they reevaluate themselves in the light of these new choices and opportunities. Stop at each event, preserve the learnings that come up, and let go of the limiting decision all the way back to now. Remember at the unconscious level that time is experienced differently, so your unconscious can take as little time as it wants. Just let go of that decision all the way back to now. And when you get to now, go ahead and float down into the now, down into the present moment, and come back into the room. Just go ahead and take a few deep breaths, bringing your awareness back to this workshop, back to the room, back to the present moment. And feel free to take a moment to give yourself a hug, to maybe grab a blanket for some comfort if you need it. Jot down some notes or thoughts in a journal. Take a sip of water. Whatever you feel you need to bring this practice to a close. And as you're coming back and reflecting a little bit, if you feel called to go a little deeper and reflect a little bit more, you can go out to a time in the future which, if it would have happened in the past, this old decision you used to have would have affected you. Notice how it's different now, and notice how many more choices and how much more opportunity you have. How have things changed for you now? And feel free to pause here if you need more time with this entire experience and practice. But I am now going to hand the reins over to Bryn.
First of all, I love that so much. I had so much come through and that I worked through. That was like humbling almost. It was like a rush of things. That was really, really cool. We're definitely going to switch gears. So if you need a second, pause that. You have that ability. What we are going to do now is a really powerful technique. It's probably my favorite thing in the world, a tool I use on myself all the time called the swish technique. And what it will allow you to do is step into an identity and a belief that you want to embody, or like we talked about earlier, really allowing yourself to like shed whatever belief isn't serving you and being more congruent with what you know will serve you. So this is a pretty fast moving technique. So again, if you need a second to like move out of like the beautiful felt sense practice that we just did, give yourself that time. This is a different speed, different pace, and it is quick. This will only take us about 8 minutes, maybe 10 if I talk too much. And I want to frame this by telling you that it's okay if this technique feels fast. Your subconscious mind is like a computer and it works so quick. So if at any point it feels like it's moving too fast and you have a thought coming up like, I'm not doing this right, this isn't working, like it's going too fast, it's working. It's perfect. Like everything is going just perfectly. Your subconscious mind is doing the work here. Your conscious mind is just like floating on the top of what's happening. So as we did that last practice and you had that limiting belief come up, if you want to work on that same limiting belief, this is a perfect time to do that. Or if there's something else you want to work on that you feel pulled to spend some time with, this will be perfect for that. What I'm going to have you do is really vividly picture that old belief, and then I'm going to have you create the point B. If point A is that belief you have now that you want to work through, point B is going to be the new belief that you want to step into. So you can close your eyes if you'd like. And when you think of this old belief, this old way of being that you know is no longer serving you, when you think of that, do you have a picture? Maybe it looks like an old photograph, or it's a still from a memory in your life, or maybe visualization doesn't come super easily for you, and it's more of a feeling that you can conjure up and you can feel in your body. Maybe it's both. When you think of that old belief, you can see that picture, you can feel that feeling, you're experiencing it. Okay. Now that you have that, go ahead and clear the screen of your mind like an Etch-a-Sketch. We all love an Etch-a-Sketch. Go ahead and just shake it out. Clear the screen. It's a fresh piece of paper, fresh whiteboard, whatever works for you. And now I want you to see the picture of how you want to feel, be, act, embody instead. What kind of person do you want to be? When you think of that, do you have a picture? As this new person, what do you see? What are you hearing? And of course, what are you feeling? Now, if you aren't already, I want you to step into your body in this picture so that you're looking through your own eyes, you're experiencing it in real time. Now, what we're going to do is make this picture the most enticing picture you've ever seen. So, kind of like knobs on the TV, you can adjust the sound, the brightness, or even better, like a photo editor. You have a photo and you can adjust the brightness. You can make it a live photo if you want. We're going to go through, I'm going to give you some prompts, and whatever makes this picture the most beautiful picture for you, that's where I want you to leave it. So, if right now this picture is in black and white and you like the idea of it being in color more, go ahead and adjust that color as vivid and bright and beautiful as you want. Or if you like it in black and white or somewhere in between, wherever just feels the best for you, like you just love to look at it. Same thing, is this picture really close to you, close in front of your face, or do you like to gaze upon it from afar? Whatever feels good to you, place it there, lock it into place. What about the size of this picture? Is this like life size, like it's all around you? Or is it like a picture you want to hold in your hand? Whatever works for you, whatever feels really good, leave it there. Is this picture really focused? Do you want it to be focused? What feels best? Maybe there's like a nice vintage grain to it, or maybe it's very, very clear. Again, whatever feels good to you. Maybe this picture is a still shot. It's a shot in time frozen. Or maybe it feels really good to shift it into a little bit of a moving picture situation, like a little repeated loop or a movie, a scene that you're watching. Anything else you need to adjust about this picture, this moment, this feeling to make it really vivid for you, go ahead and do that now. And once that picture is literally the most attractive thing you could ever imagine, you've never wanted it so badly in your life, I want you to go ahead and lock it into place. Like you're locking your locker, that master lock sound, lock it into place. And now I want you to step out of the picture so you are seeing your own body in the picture. And once again, I want you to clear the screen, etch a sketch it out, erase it, clear the whiteboard. And now I want you to bring back that old picture, the old habit. And I want you to step into the picture so that you're fully associated, looking through your own eyes. And I want you to make that scene, that moment, fill the screen. And now I'm going to explain to you our next little step. This is called the swish. What's going to happen is that you have that old picture on the screen of your mind, big and bright. And in the lower left-hand corner of your mind, I want you to plug in that new state of being that you are just dying to step into. So old picture, big on the screen, new picture, small, bottom left. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, swish. And whenever I say swish, that old picture is just going to sink far, far away into the horizon, so far away you can't even see it anymore. While at the same time, that new picture, bottom left, comes up on the screen right in front of you, big and bright, and replaces that old picture. Okay. So again, old picture on the screen of your mind, new bottom left, 1, 2, 3, swish. That old picture is gone into the background. That new picture replaces it big and bright. So let's officially try it for the first time. Old picture, big on your screen, new picture, bottom left, 1, 2, 3, swish. New picture is big and bright. Okay. Clear the screen of your mind. We're going to do this a few more times and I'm going to get quicker and quicker. Again, you cannot do this wrong. You are doing it just perfectly. Old picture, Big on the screen in front of you, new picture bottom left. 1, 2, 3, swish. That new picture is all you see. Okay, open your eyes if it helps, clear the screen of your mind. Old picture in front of you, new picture bottom left. 1, 2, 3, swish, big and bright, that new state, you can feel it. Open your eyes, clear the screen of your mind. We're gonna do this 2 more times. Old picture big, new picture left. 1, 2, 3, swish. Open your eyes, clear the screen, close your eyes. Old picture, new picture. 1, 2, 3, swish. I changed my mind. We're gonna do it one more time. Old picture, new picture. 1, 2, 3, swish. And open your eyes. Clear the screen. Now that you know this pattern, you can go and do this on your own if you feel like you need to a few more times. Eventually, what you will discover is that that old picture is really hard to access. It's fuzzy. It's harder to associate into it. That new picture is your new reality. What you've just done is you've created a stronger neural pathway for that new way of being than you have that old one. So again, if you want to do it a few more times with me, you can. Old picture, new picture bottom left. 1, 2, 3, swish. Open your eyes, clear the screen, close your eyes. Old picture, new picture. 1, 2, 3, swish. Once more for good measure. Once more with feeling. Old picture, new picture. 1, 2, 3, swish. And now, how do you feel about that old way of being now, that old belief? How does it feel different for you now? And because we just did some really deep mindset work, I want you to go out into the future, imagine a time where if it would have happened in the past before this workshop, before this technique, that old belief would have come up, would have held you back. And now think of what happens instead. What new belief is there to counter it that's stronger, that's bigger and brighter? And what action will you take to reinforce that new belief and make it so, so real for you? The beauty of this technique that I love is now that you know how that works, that old picture, new picture, 1, 2, 3, swish, you can do that all the time. I do it in bed at night. You can do it in the morning. Like, you don't need the rest of the script. If you know the general way of it works, you can say, this is my old belief. This is my new belief. Create it really vividly. 1, 2, 3, swish. And you've got a way to rewire your subconscious mind right there. So I hope that gave you a little mini transformation. Thank you. Back to you, sister.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And, I did the activity as well as you were guiding us through it. And yeah, I I feel like I'm speechless after each time because it really, in the beginning, you can feel so small when you're connecting with that old picture. But then as you slowly over and over again bring that new picture into your mind and really start to step into that, you just feel this expansion starting to happen. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I would love to hear, for anyone watching the replay, how that activity goes for you as well. Definitely feel free to DM us or just, drop it anywhere. We would love to hear from you. Awesome. So, since we don't have anyone live with us at the moment, we aren't going to do the Q&A. I do want to mention that Bryn is starting a podcast and it's going to be amazing. So you will be able to find her there on Spotify soon. And also check her out on Instagram. She shares a lot in her stories and always has some beautiful nuggets of wisdom to share. Next Saturday, we have I guess it's part 5 of the Transformational Shift Workshop Series. It's called Rituals of Transformation. In this workshop, we'll be talking all about, how to actually create change within your own life, how to actually create habits that stick, and how to create everyday rituals that just feel wonderful and loving and expansive to you. So I do want to check in. Bryn, do you have anything else to share with us today? Any thoughts, any insights?
Just thank you. Thank you for having me on here. And thank you, anybody who watches the replay. And yeah, big props for anyone who takes the time to do this deep work with themselves. It's hard. It's so not easy. And society doesn't tell us that we need to value it. So if you are, like, you're one step ahead of the curve, you've got some powerful magic you can leverage. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Mia, for inviting me. It was awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I think this kind of work, and you come more from the mindset side and I'm coming more from the somatic side. When it comes together, yeah, it just, there's so much magic that can happen. And yeah, just the only thing I want to leave you guys with is be gentle with yourselves as you go through the rest of the day. Really, feel that energy, all that energy that we just worked with. Allow it to sink into you, into your life, and just, yeah, be gentle as you move forward. Um, this isn't something that you just do once. While it would be amazing if you could just do it once, it's something that you work on, right? That you have to be consistent with. So just be gentle with yourself as you move forward and know that there is so much power and so much magic within you. And yeah, we'll be continuing the good vibes throughout the week and in next weekend's workshop. If you are on the East Coast, particularly in the DC area, I will be doing a workshop pretty similar to this, but it'll be more centered around expressing your authentic self. So if you feel called to do a follow-up of this experience and just come and soak in this kind of energy, then feel free to join me. There is a lot more information about this coming soon that I'll be posting in the next week. So yeah, if you are interested, feel free to reach out to me. But yeah, that's all we have for you guys today. And yeah, thank you again, Bryn, for sharing all of your knowledge and your wisdom. And thank you all for being here and being on this journey with me. So, all right, wonderful. Going to go ahead and stop the recording.